Hello, this is Chef John from foodwishes.com with braised black lentils. That's right, I've gotten so many requests for this. In fact, it's a little suspicious. Why am I getting so many requests for lentils? Is there something going on with the lentils I don't know about? Maybe, but who cares? This is so delicious and one of my favorite side dishes of all time. And the good news is, it's really easy and relatively quick to put together. So here we go. Let's start by melting a little bit of butter in some olive oil over medium heat. And then we're going to add some mirepoix, which is fancy French culinary terminology for a dice of celery, carrots, and onions. I have roughly equal parts of each, although the exact ratio is not that big of a deal. You know why? Because this is just a vegetable side dish, so you can relax. All right, we're also going to give it a big pinch of salt, and we're just going to sweat that on medium heat for, 7-8 minutes. We just want the onions to kind of turn translucent, and for those veggies to soften and sweeten up a little bit. So just let them sweat in that butter and oil. Give it a stir once in a while. And while that's happening, I'm also going to add a good amount of fresh thyme. I'm just going to go ahead and throw the whole sprigs in there. I hate picking thyme leaves. It's one of the most time-consuming, annoying herb-related tasks ever. So I don't do it. I throw them in whole, and then later we'll just pick out the stems. It's a perfect system. And you could also use rosemary here. You could use oregano. Lots of stuff. But thyme's my favorite. And by the way, I'll be making no thyme puns. Why? Too easy. All right, so at this point, our onions are getting translucent. Our veggies are softening a little bit. That thyme flavor is being infused into that oil and butter. And we are almost ready for the lentils. So we're going to turn the heat down to low. I'm going to give it a nice big shot of freshly ground black pepper. And then we're going to measure out a cup of black lentils. Check it out. They're so pretty. And if you think they look good now, wait till you see when they hit that oil and butter, they turn jet black, they get shiny, and they look like Beluga caviar, which is one of the nicknames for black lentils, Beluga lentils, which is one of the problems with this dish. I love lentils, but I like Beluga caviar more. So it always makes me a little melancholy that I'm not eating, half a pound of Beluga caviar. But that's okay. This is so delicious, I don't actually feel that bad. So we're going to dump the lentils in, we're going to stir them around. And then it's time to add the liquid. Now, generally, it's about 2 parts liquid to 1 part lentils, although I go a little less than that because there is moisture in those vegetables. So the lentils will absorb some of that. So I'm going to dump in my liquid. I'm using chicken stock. You can certainly use water or vegetable stock if you're one of those people. You know we don't judge here at Food Wishes, at least publicly. I do judge a little bit behind your back, all right? So we're going to give that a stir. We're going to raise the heat up to medium-high, and we're going to bring this to a very gentle simmer. And once it comes up to that simmer, I want you to back the heat down to low until it's just barely bubbling like that. All right, about as low a simmer as you can go. We're going to cover that, and this is going to cook until the lentils are tender and have pretty much absorbed all that liquid. It's going to take roughly 30-35 minutes, although exact time will vary, so you got to keep an eye on it. And what I like to do after about 20-25 minutes, I'll take off the lid, I'll give it a stir, I'll kind of see where I'm at. I'll check that liquid level. Of course, if it seems like it's getting a little too dry, add another little splash of stock. But this one seemed fine. If I see all those thyme leaves have fallen off the stems, I'll pick those out. And you're probably wondering, why didn't you just use your freakishly small wooden spoon? Isn't it obvious? I wanted to burn my fingertips. Duh. So I'm going to pull those out. You may want to give it a little nibble to see where you're at. Mine weren't quite tender yet. So I'm going to put the lid back on, give it another 5 or 10 minutes. And like so many things we cook, when it's tender, you're done. And don't be scared if you see a little bit of wetness at the bottom of the pan. That will continue to be absorbed into the lentils even after you turn off the heat. Now, some people like to continue cooking this until it's much softer. I don't really enjoy it as much as this style where the lentils pretty much remain whole. But as you know, you are the boss of your legumes. But for me, this was perfect. I'm going to stop right there. We're going to turn off the heat, and we're going to do the final last couple steps. The first of which is introducing some acidity. I'm going to use some champagne vinegar. You could use lemon juice. You could use other vinegars. Sherry vinegar is very nice in this. That really brightens the flavor up. I think it's a very important addition. I'm also going to add some freshly chopped parsley. So we cooked in some thyme flavor, but I do want a little bit of fresh green herb at the end, and I really love Italian parsley. So I'm going to stir that in. And of course, you have to taste this for salt and pepper. All right, we put some in earlier, but it's probably going to need some salt. Did I add a little cayenne to mine? I'm not saying. And that's it. Look at that. Soft, tender, satisfying, yet each lentil is still pretty much whole. So it looks really nice. It tastes really nice. And like I said earlier, one of my favorite side dishes of all time. Braised black lentils. Let me take one more bite here. So good. And like I said earlier, I had a suspiciously large number of requests for this, so I'm going to need to investigate that. But in the meantime, I really hope you give this a try. So delicious, so easy, and you can never have enough awesome side dish recipes. So head over to foodwishes.com for all the ingredient amounts and more info as usual. And as always, enjoy.